There are moments in a man's life when he must stop making excuses and start paying attention. Some signs don't come with flashing lights or loud alarms. They come wrapped in soft voices, tender words, and smiles that hide a storm underneath. This topic, unmissable. If a woman says these 5 things to you, leave her immediately, is not about hate. It's about awareness. It's about learning to recognize when words aren't just words, but warnings, the kind that tell you your peace, your worth, and your sanity are about to be tested. Welcome to the channel, where we talk truth, the kind that doesn't flatter, but frees you. Too many men ignore the signs because they're in love, hopeful, or afraid of being alone. They think staying will fix things. But sometimes, the smartest move isn't to argue, to chase, or to prove your loyalty. It's to walk away. Because when certain things come out of her mouth, they reveal what's already been broken: respect, trust, and emotional safety. This isn't about painting women as the enemy. It's about teaching men to stop tolerating what destroys them quietly. When a woman starts speaking in ways that belittle, manipulate, or challenge your worth, she's already made a choice. And now it's your turn to make yours. What makes this discussion unmissable is that most men never realize the damage until it's too late. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why some things she says shouldn't just raise an eyebrow. They should raise your guard. So sit back, listen closely, and let's talk about the 5 sentences that, once spoken, should make every wise man step back and choose peace over chaos. But before we start, listen carefully. What you see here in my channel is just a preview, not the full picture. If you really want to master the dating game and learn how modern relationships actually work, don't waste time. Rush right now to https or www.stoicapproachtolife.com/GVVIVS, or go to my description and click the link below and unlock the real strategies, the real teachings, the real results. Don't just watch, level up today. So let's get started. 1. When words cut deeper than love. Sometimes the deepest wounds in a relationship don't come from actions, but from words spoken in moments of pride, anger, or control. A woman's words can shape the tone of a relationship. They can build, heal, and nurture. But when those same words start to slice through your confidence, question your manhood, or belittle your efforts, it's no longer love speaking. It's a warning disguised as affection. Every man watching this needs to understand that the emotional weight of words can be heavier than betrayal itself. When she starts using words that cut, mock, or humiliate you, what's really happening is a shift in emotional power. And if you don't notice it, you'll lose yourself slowly. Men often stay because they believe things will change. They tell themselves she's just upset, that it's a phase, or that maybe they deserve it for not being perfect. But here's the truth. Respect doesn't disappear overnight. It erodes gradually, and it often begins with language. When a woman who once spoke life into you starts speaking poison instead, something has already broken in her perception of you. It's not about reacting with anger or matching her tone. It's about recognizing that the bond is no longer healthy. Because once her words turn sharp, her feelings have already turned cold. In relationships, communication is meant to connect, not control. When words are weaponized, you begin to walk on eggshells, questioning everything you say, everything you do, just to avoid another verbal jab. That's not love. That's emotional warfare. And the more you tolerate it, the more she loses respect for you. A man who allows constant verbal disrespect teaches a woman how to treat him. You don't correct this with apologies or gifts. You correct it with boundaries. You correct it by showing that your peace is worth protecting. The moment you notice her words are no longer kind but consistently cruel, that's your cue. Don't justify it as stress. Don't sugarcoat it as she didn't mean it. understand what's really happening. Her respect for you is fading, and once respect is gone, love can't breathe. Leaving isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the choice to value yourself enough to walk away from conversations that strip away your dignity. Words cut deeper than love because they reveal the truth before actions do. Pay attention to what she says, because sometimes that's all you need to know. It's time to go. 2. The subtle signs of disrespect. Disrespect doesn't always walk through the door loudly. Sometimes it slips in quietly, dressed up as jokes, sarcasm, or honesty. It starts small. She interrupts you mid-sentence, rolls her eyes when you speak, or dismisses your opinions like they don't matter. You tell yourself it's harmless, that she's just having a bad day, or that she's being playful. But here's the truth most men overlook. Disrespect is never accidental. It's a slow process that begins with small cracks and ends with a full collapse of how she sees you. And the moment you allow it, you teach her that it's okay. Men often confuse patience with tolerance. They think being understanding means enduring what clearly chips away at their dignity. But when a woman no longer speaks to you with basic respect, she's stopped valuing you. And when a man ignores that shift, he loses not just her respect, but his own self-respect too. Disrespect shows up in many forms, in how she talks to you around friends, how she dismisses your boundaries, how she minimizes your efforts. Each time she does it, and you stay silent, the message she hears isn't that you're kind, it's that you're weak. The irony is that disrespect doesn't always come with anger. Sometimes it's hidden behind laughter. She jokes about your income, your looks, your dreams, and when you react, she says, "Relax, it's just a joke." But you feel that sting, because deep down, you know it's not a joke. It's how she really feels. Jokes become her weapon, and your silence becomes her permission. Once disrespect becomes a habit, love starts to suffocate under it. Because love can't survive where one person feels belittled. Here's what men need to grasp. Respect is the foundation of attraction. When she stops respecting you, she also stops feeling drawn to you. You can buy her gifts, plan romantic dates, or try to prove your worth, but it won't change how she sees you. The energy has already shifted. Disrespect is like rust. Once it starts spreading, you can't polish it away. You have to replace the metal. So when you notice those subtle digs, the constant interruptions, or the way she talks down to you, don't argue or beg for change. Just step back and observe. A woman who truly loves you will never make you feel small to make herself feel big. The ones who do? They don't need convincing, they need distance. Your silence won't fix it, but your absence will teach the lesson her pride won't let her learn any other way. Disrespect doesn't start loud, but if you ignore it, it ends loud. And usually, it ends with you losing everything that made you a man she once admired. 3. Manipulation in disguise. This is where things get tricky, because manipulation doesn't always look like manipulation. Sometimes it looks like care. It sounds like concern. It feels like love, until you realize you're constantly being guilt-tripped into doing things you never agreed to. Many men confuse emotional manipulation with affection, and that's where everything begins to fall apart. When a woman starts using her emotions to control your actions, when "if you love me, you'll do this" becomes part of the conversation, that's not love speaking. That's control disguised as connection. Let's start with what's right. In a healthy relationship, influence goes both ways. You both inspire each other to be better, you both compromise sometimes, and you both respect each other's independence. Communication should feel like teamwork, not a chess game where one person wins by outsmarting the other. The right thing is when she encourages you, not pressures you. When she voices her needs without making you feel guilty for having your own. Real love uplifts. It doesn't manipulate. Now, the wrong is when she starts twisting words or emotions to make you feel responsible for her happiness. She cries to get her way, brings up your past mistakes whenever she wants to win an argument, or pretends to be the victim even when she's clearly at fault. She might even say things like, "I guess you don't care about me then," just to make you bend. That's not emotional honesty. That's emotional control. And here's the harsh truth. The more you give in to that, the more power she gains over you. Every time you let guilt dictate your choices, you lose a little bit of self-respect. To correct it, you need to reclaim your emotional space. Stop reacting emotionally when she plays the sympathy card. Stay calm, stay grounded, and don't be afraid to say no. The moment you stop allowing guilt to steer your actions, her manipulation loses its grip. Set clear boundaries and stick to them, not with anger, but with firmness. Tell her you're willing to listen, but you won't be controlled. If she respects you, she'll adjust. If she doesn't, she'll leave. And that's still a win, because peace is better than being emotionally blackmailed. Men need to remember this. Love shouldn't feel like walking through a maze designed by someone who changes the rules whenever they want. You have the right to think, choose, and feel without being punished for it. The right woman will challenge you, but she won't confuse you. She'll hold you accountable, but she won't manipulate your emotions to gain power. The difference between influence and manipulation is freedom. One lets you choose, the other corners you into surrender. So if you find yourself constantly apologizing for things you didn't do, or saying yes when your gut says no, it's time to step back. You can't build a healthy relationship on control, only on respect. And respect starts when you stop letting someone else play puppeteer with your heart. 4. The power struggle trap. Every man reaches a moment in a relationship where he feels like he's losing his grip, not because he's weak, but because he's caught in a battle he never meant to fight. That's what the power struggle trap is. It's not about who loves more. It's about who controls more. The sad truth is, many men don't realize they've stepped into this trap until they're already drained, emotionally, mentally, even spiritually. But here's the truth that every man needs to hear. Real power in a relationship isn't about dominance, it's about direction. You don't win by overpowering her, and you don't grow by being overpowered. You win by standing tall in your purpose, your principles, and your peace. When a woman begins to challenge your leadership not out of strength, but out of ego, when she tries to test your patience, your values, or your sense of self, understand this. She's not just testing you, she's measuring your boundaries. The wrong move is to argue or compete with her. The right move is to stay grounded. A man who reacts to every provocation becomes easy to control, but a man who stands calm, steady, and unbothered by chaos becomes untouchable. That's where your power lives, not in what you can control, but in what doesn't control you. You see, relationships aren't meant to be battlegrounds. They're meant to be partnerships where two strong people bring peace, not conflict. When you find yourself constantly defending your decisions, explaining your worth, or trying to prove you're the man, you've already lost ground. Because real confidence doesn't explain itself. It shows itself. Stop fighting for control and start standing for respect. The goal isn't to dominate her, it's to dominate your emotions. The moment you master that, you win the battle silently. Here's the motivation most men forget. You were not made to chase validation in a relationship. You were made to lead with vision, protect your peace, and build something meaningful. The woman who truly respects you will never try to compete with you. She'll walk beside you. But the one who constantly challenges your every move is showing you something important. She doesn't trust your leadership. Don't waste energy convincing her. Instead, prove to yourself that your life, Your goals and your purpose are bigger than any argument. The power struggle only exists when you engage in it. The moment you withdraw from the battle and focus on becoming the best version of yourself, you shift the dynamic entirely. That's when she either adjusts or exits, and either outcome brings you peace. So remember this: your value isn't determined by how much control you gain in the relationship, but by how much control you maintain over yourself. Stay calm, stay strong, stay focused. Let your strength be silent, your peace be loud, and your boundaries be unshakable. That's the kind of man no woman can manipulate. Because he no longer fights for power. He is the power. 5. Loyalty or control. Every man wants loyalty. It's one of the purest forms of love. That quiet reassurance that she's with you, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. But there's a dangerous line between loyalty and control, and too many men mistake one for the other. A loyal woman supports you, but a controlling one monitors you. A loyal woman trusts your decisions, but a controlling one questions your every move. Understanding this difference is what separates men who are free from those trapped in relationships that feel more like cages than connections. Here's the truth. Loyalty doesn't demand proof every day. It doesn't need to check your phone, track your location, or question every female friend you have. Loyalty stands on trust, not fear. When a woman constantly needs reassurance that you're faithful, that you love her, that you're not talking to someone else, she's not being loyal. She's being possessive. And possession has nothing to do with love. It's about power. When you allow that behavior to continue, you start shrinking without realizing it. You lose your space, your peace, your freedom. And once a man loses those, he stops being himself. Now, here's where it gets persuasive. You have to stop believing that control equals care. It doesn't. A woman controlling your time, your friends, or your choices isn't protecting you. She's protecting her own insecurities. And when you keep giving in just to keep the peace, you're feeding her fear, not her trust. The more she sees you bend, the more she'll push. That's how relationships that once felt warm and loving turn cold and suffocating. You can't be her peace if she keeps turning you into her prisoner. A loyal relationship gives you room to grow. It lets you breathe, dream, and build without constant doubt hovering over you. Control, on the other hand, cages you with guilt. It's the difference between her asking, "How was your day?" and demanding, "Where were you?" It's the difference between partnership and ownership, and you must choose which one you'll tolerate. The woman who trusts you is a teammate. The one who tries to control you is a warden. Here's what every man needs to hear. Real love isn't proven by obedience, it's proven by freedom. A woman who truly loves you doesn't need to hold you tight. She trusts that you'll stay because you want to. If she can't do that, you're not in a relationship. You're in a negotiation for your peace. You don't correct that with arguments or promises. You correct it by drawing the line. You say, "I love you, but I won't live under surveillance." That's not disrespect. That's self-respect. So ask yourself, is she loyal or is she controlling? If her loyalty feels like pressure, if her care feels like control, it's time to wake up. Because love isn't about ownership. It's about freedom. And the moment you choose your peace over her power, you'll finally know what real loyalty feels like. The kind that lets both hearts breathe. 6. When she stops. Seeing your value. One of the most painful moments for a man in a relationship is when he realizes that the woman who once looked at him with admiration now looks at him with indifference. The spark fades, the respect weakens, and suddenly the man who used to be her hero becomes just another option in her world. This stage is not just emotional, it's deeply psychological, and understanding it requires maturity. When a woman stops seeing your value, it rarely happens overnight. It's a gradual process that starts with how you carry yourself, how you handle conflict, and how much you allow yourself to be taken for granted. To truly understand this, let's break it down. Women are naturally drawn to confidence, direction, and consistency. These are not just attractive traits. They represent safety and strength. When a man starts losing these qualities, often due to emotional exhaustion or fear of losing her, the dynamic begins to shift. He becomes too accommodating, too apologetic, too desperate to please. What used to be strength turns into submission, and what used to be leadership turns into hesitation. At that point, she subconsciously stops seeing him as the man she once respected. It's not because she's cruel, it's because human attraction is built on energy, and energy changes when confidence disappears. The educational truth here is that respect is the oxygen of attraction. Once respect fades, emotional connection suffocates. Many men make the mistake of trying to win back respect through effort, buying gifts, apologizing repeatedly, or trying to fix everything overnight. But respect can't be bought. It has to be re-earned through behavior. The first step is self-awareness. Notice when her tone changes, when her interest fades, when her words start sounding more critical than caring. Those are not random shifts. They're signs that her perception of your value is dropping. To correct this, you must reclaim your identity. Stop chasing reassurance and start setting standards again. The more you try to prove your worth, the less worthy you appear. Instead, show her and yourself that your life has direction beyond the relationship. Work on your goals, your fitness, your discipline, your peace. When a man grows, his value naturally rises. And when a woman sees a man committed to his purpose, she can't help but feel drawn to him again, not out of pity, but out of respect. Here's another truth men need to learn. Love without respect becomes tolerance, and tolerance eventually turns into resentment. Never allow anyone, no matter how much you love them, to make you feel like your presence is replaceable. When she stops seeing your value, it's your job to remind her, not with words, but with actions that say, I am not to be taken for granted. Education isn't just about learning facts, it's about understanding patterns. And the pattern here is clear. When you lose respect, you lose connection. Rebuild your value by rebuilding yourself, because the man who knows his worth never has to beg anyone else to see it. 7. Choosing peace over pain. There comes a moment in every man's life when he has to make a hard decision to keep fighting for something that's breaking him or to walk away for the sake of his peace. Most men stay too long because they confuse pain with passion. They tell themselves that every relationship has problems, that love means endurance, that leaving makes them quitters. But what they don't realize is that not all pain is meant to be endured. Some pain is a message, a signal that says, you've given enough. It's time to choose yourself. Choosing peace over pain isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's knowing that your heart deserves rest, that your mind deserves calm, and that your spirit deserves freedom. Too many men wear exhaustion like a badge of honor, constantly fixing, explaining, and sacrificing in the name of love. But love should build you, not break you. If you're constantly anxious, constantly defending yourself, constantly walking on eggshells, then what you're in isn't love. It's emotional survival. And no man should have to survive in what's supposed to feel safe. Here's the truth. Most won't tell you. Peace is more powerful than presence. A woman can miss you deeply, but she won't respect you until she sees that you're willing to walk away from what hurts you. That's when she realizes your value. Not when you stay and tolerate, but when you stand and choose silence over chaos. That's when she understands that your love is not a weakness. It's a gift. And gifts can be withdrawn when they're abused. Men often think walking away means losing. But sometimes, leaving is the only way to win. Because when you walk away, you're not just leaving her. You're leaving behind the version of yourself that settled for less. You're leaving behind the arguments that went nowhere, the disrespect that drained your confidence, and the nights you spent questioning your worth. You're stepping into clarity. You're stepping into strength. And the peace that follows will feel better than any apology she could ever offer. Choosing peace means understanding that not every woman who walks into your life is meant to stay. Some come as lessons, not lifetimes. They teach you what self-respect looks like, what boundaries mean, and what love should never cost. The lesson isn't about hating her. It's about loving yourself enough to stop bleeding for someone who keeps cutting you. So, if you're watching this and you're tired of the confusion, tired of the disrespect, tired of being the only one trying, listen closely. You are not crazy for wanting peace. You are not weak for walking away. You are not heartless for choosing yourself. You are simply a man who's grown enough to understand that peace is the highest form of love. And the moment you choose it, you finally start living again. At the end of it all, remember this. Love should never cost you your peace, your pride, or your purpose. The moment a woman's words, actions, or attitude begin to drain the man you're trying to be, that's your cue to step back. Walking away isn't running. It's choosing clarity over confusion. You owe it to yourself to guard your energy and protect your spirit. Real love will never demand that you shrink to keep someone else comfortable. So, if she crosses those lines, don't hesitate. Leave with your dignity intact, because peace is the greatest victory of all. And before you go, remember, what you've just watched is only a small piece of the puzzle. If you're serious about mastering the dating game and building real confidence in modern relationships, don't wait. Visit https://www.stoicapproachtolife.com/AAGVVS right now and get access to the full teaching. That's where the real transformation begins.